Welcome to Space House, where we ask the questions that keep you awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering if any of this matters. Tonight, we're not talking about black holes, or distant galaxies, or the heat death of the universe. Tonight, we're talking about something much closer to home, much more personal, much more terrifying. You. Or more precisely, the absence of you. Here's the thought experiment. Imagine that right now, at this exact moment, you were simply removed, not killed, not erased from history, just removed from reality, plucked out of existence like a character deleted from a simulation. Every atom that makes up your body, every quantum state, every electromagnetic field your neurons generate, all of it just gone. Would the universe notice? Would anything change? Would there be a ripple in the fabric of space-time? A disturbance in the quantum field? A cosmic record somewhere that registers your absence? Or would the universe continue exactly as it was, indifferent to the fact that you, a pattern of organized matter that took billions of years to arrange itself into the specific configuration that allows you to read these words, has simply ceased to be? This isn't a question about legacy, or memory, or whether people would miss you. Those are human concerns, important ones certainly, but not what we're here to explore. We're here to ask something deeper, something more fundamental, something that cuts to the very nature of existence itself. From the universe's perspective, if a universe can even be said to have a perspective, do you matter? Before you close this video in existential dread, before you decide this is too dark, too nihilistic, too uncomfortable, I want you to understand something. This question, this terrible, beautiful question, is one of the most profound inquiries human beings can make, because the answer, whichever way it lands, tells us something extraordinary about the nature of reality. If your removal would be noticed, if it would create some measurable change in the universe, then you are fundamentally entangled with the cosmos in a way that transcends your physical body. You are not separate from the universe. You are a necessary part of it. Your existence matters in a literal, physical, measurable way. But if your removal would go completely unnoticed, if the universe would continue its expansion and its quantum fluctuations and its inexorable march toward entropy without the slightest indication that you ever existed, then what does that say? That you're meaningless, or that you're free? That nothing matters, or that you get to decide what matters? This is the paradox we're diving into tonight. The question of cosmic significance versus existential freedom. The tension between being a necessary part of the universe and being utterly inconsequential to it. And trust me, by the time we're done exploring this, your understanding of your place in the cosmos and what that place even means will never be the same. I want you to do something for me before we go deeper. Look at your hand right now. Actually, look at it. The skin, the lines, the subtle movement as blood pulses through your veins. Every atom in that hand was forged in the core of a dying star. You are literally made of stardust. That's not poetic metaphor, it's nuclear physics. The carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, calcium, iron, every element heavier than hydrogen and helium in your body was created by nuclear fusion in stellar cores or in the violent explosions of supernovae. You are the universe made conscious. You are a way for the cosmos to know itself. As Carl Sagan said. But here's the disturbing flip side of that beautiful idea. if you're just a temporary arrangement of atoms, just a pattern that emerged from chaos and will return to chaos, then removing that pattern should be no different than erasing a sandcastle. The sand remains, the beach remains, the ocean that will ultimately reclaim everything remains. So which is it? Are you the universe experiencing itself, fundamentally entangled with all of reality in a way that makes your existence cosmically significant? Or are you a sandcastle, beautiful perhaps, but ultimately temporary and inconsequential in the vast expanse of space and time? If you're intrigued by these midnight questions, these explorations of the boundary between physics and philosophy, between what we can measure and what we can only wonder about, subscribe to Space House. We're building a community of people who aren't afraid to stare into the void and ask it uncomfortable questions. People who understand that sometimes the most honest answer is, we don't know. But let's think about it anyway. Turn off the lights if you can. Pull up the hood if you're wearing one. Get comfortable with discomfort, because we're about to explore the most personal question in cosmology. If you disappeared, would the universe miss you? What? And fair warning, the answer might not be the one you want, but it might be the one you need. Let's start with the most obvious way your removal from reality would be noticed: causality. You are part of an unbroken chain of cause and effect that stretches back to the Big Bang and forward to the heat death of the universe. Every action you take causes other actions. Every word you speak changes the position of air molecules, which affects weather patterns, which affects, well, everything, eventually. This is the butterfly effect, but it's more than just poetic chaos theory. It's fundamental physics. Right now, you're sitting somewhere, maybe in a chair, maybe on a bed, maybe standing on a train. Your mass is creating a gravitational field. Tiny, infinitesimally small compared to planets or stars, but real nonetheless. You are literally bending space-time around you. If you were suddenly removed, that curvature would disappear. The gravitational field would change. Would anyone notice? Almost certainly not. Your gravitational influence is so minuscule that even the most sensitive instruments wouldn't detect the change. But it would exist. The geometry of space-time would be different. The universe would be measurably, physically different. You're also radiating heat. Your body temperature is higher than your surroundings, so you're constantly emitting infrared radiation. Photons are leaving your skin right now, carrying energy out into the world. If you were removed, those photons wouldn't exist. The thermal state of your immediate environment would be fractionally different. Again, the difference would be unmeasurable by any practical standard, but it would be real. The universe would not be identical to what it would be if you still existed. Now, let's think bigger. Let's think about the causal chains you're part of that extend beyond your immediate physical presence. Every conversation you've ever had changed the brain states of the people you were talking to. Neurons fired differently because of words you said. Memories were formed. Decisions were made that wouldn't have been made otherwise. Actions were taken that rippled outward, affecting other people, creating cascading chains of causality that extend far beyond your direct influence. If you were removed from reality right now, those past effects would remain. The memories people have of you would still exist. The objects you've touched would still bear the marks of that interaction. The words you've written would still exist on servers and in books and in the minds of those who read them. But the future causal chains would be severed. Everything you would have done tomorrow, next week, next year, none of it would happen. Every person you would have interacted with would interact with someone or something else instead. The branching tree of causality that extends from your existence would be pruned, and a different tree would grow in its place. This is where it gets philosophically murky. Would the universe notice this change in causal structure? Or is the universe indifferent to which specific causal tree grows, as long as some tree grows? Let's think about determinism for a moment. If the universe is deterministic, if every event is the inevitable consequence of prior events, stretching back to the initial conditions of the Big Bang, then you are not choosing your actions, you are executing them. You are a domino in an infinite line of falling dominoes, and your fall was determined 13.8 billion years ago. In a deterministic universe, removing you would be, what, impossible? Because your existence is a necessary consequence of everything that came before. Or would removing you simply mean the dominoes fall differently, following a different path through the state space of possible universes? But if the universe is not deterministic, if quantum mechanics introduces genuine randomness, genuine unpredictability, genuine choice, though whether quantum randomness equals free will is a whole other question, then your removal would collapse a specific set of quantum possibilities and allow different ones to manifest. Every decision you make in a quantum mechanical universe might be splitting reality into multiple branches. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that every quantum event creates a branching of the universe into multiple parallel realities, each one representing a different possible outcome. If that's true, then there are already infinite versions of reality where you don't exist, where you were never born, where you died yesterday, where you were removed from existence 5 minutes ago. Your removal would just be creating one more branch in the infinite tree of possible universes. So, would a universe notice? Or would your removal just be one more quantum branching among the infinite branchings that are happening constantly, at every moment, throughout all of space-time? Here's where we need to talk about something called the Wheeler-Feynman absorber theory. It's a controversial idea in physics, but bear with me because it's relevant. The Wheeler-Feynman absorber theory suggests that electromagnetic radiation, light, radio waves, all photons requires both an emitter and an absorber to exist. A photon isn't real until it's absorbed. The act of emission and absorption are two ends of the same event, connected across space-time. If this theory is correct, then you, as an absorber of photons, are necessary for those photons to exist. The light hitting your eyes right now exists because you're here to absorb it. If you were removed, not only would you not see that light, but in a very real sense, that light wouldn't exist in the same way. Now, the Wheeler-Feynman absorber theory is not widely accepted. Most physicists work with more conventional quantum electrodynamics, but the theory highlights something important. The observer is not separate from the observed. You are entangled with the universe in ways that make the distinction between you and not you less clear than our intuition suggests. Quantum mechanics, in its standard Copenhagen interpretation, requires an observer to collapse the wave function. Before measurement, a quantum system exists in a superposition of all possible states. Only when observed does it collapse into a definite state. You are an observer constantly. Every photon hitting your retina, every air molecule colliding with your skin, every sound wave vibrating your eardrum, these are all observations that collapse quantum wave functions. If you were removed, those specific collapses wouldn't happen. Different observations would occur, or perhaps no observations would occur for those specific quantum events, leaving them in superposition. Does the universe care which observations happen? Does it matter that you specifically collapse those wave functions versus someone or something else doing it? Or does the universe only care that observations occur, indifferent to the specific observer? This is the measurement problem in quantum mechanics, and it's unsolved. We don't know if observers are special. We don't know if consciousness matters. We don't know if the universe needs witnesses, or if it's perfectly fine evolving according to the Schrödinger equation without ever collapsing into definite states. But here's what we do know. You are part of a causal structure that is woven into the fabric of reality at the quantum level. Every particle you interact with becomes entangled with you. And quantum entanglement is not a metaphor. It's a real physical phenomenon where the quantum states of particles become correlated in such a way that you cannot describe one without describing the other. You are quantum mechanically entangled with everything you've ever touched, every photon you've ever absorbed, every air molecule you've ever breathed. The information about your existence is smeared across the universe in the quantum correlations between particles. If you were removed, those correlations would, what? Disappear? Remain but with a gap where you should be? Transform into different correlations? We don't know. This is where physics meets the edge of what we can currently understand. But here's the uncomfortable truth. From a purely causal perspective, your removal would create a change in the universe. Not a large change, not a change that would collapse stars or reverse the expansion of space, but a change nonetheless. The universe would be different, measurably, physically, genuinely different. Whether that counts as noticing depends on what we mean by notice. The universe doesn't have a mind, it doesn't have awareness, it doesn't care, but it would be changed. And change, perhaps, is the only kind of noticing the universe is capable of. Here's a different angle. Let's forget causality for a moment and think about information. You are not just matter, you are organized matter. You are information encoded in physical form, the specific arrangement of atoms that makes you you, the patterns of neural connections in your brain that store your memories and personality, the genetic code in every cell. All of this is information. And information, according to modern physics, might be the most fundamental thing in the universe. There's a principle in physics called the holographic principle. which suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on the boundary of that space. It's a weird idea that comes from black hole thermodynamics, but it suggests something profound. Information is conserved. It cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. If the holographic principle is correct, then your removal from reality would not destroy the information that makes you you. That information would have to go somewhere. It would have to be encoded somewhere else in the universe. Let's think about your brain specifically. Your brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, each one connected to thousands of other neurons, creating a network of roughly 100 trillion synaptic connections. The pattern of connections, the strengths of those connections, the chemical states of each neuron. This is the physical substrate of your consciousness. This is where your memories are stored, your personality, your sense of self. All of it is information encoded in the physical structure of your brain. If you were removed from reality, this information would be lost. Except, can it be lost? If information conservation is a fundamental law of the universe, then maybe it can't be. Maybe, in some sense, we don't understand. The pattern that is you persists in the structure of the universe, even after the physical substrate is gone. Maybe consciousness leaves an imprint on reality that can't be erased. This sounds like mysticism, and maybe it is. But it's mysticism based on the mathematics of quantum information theory and black hole thermodynamics. It's not provable, not testable with our current technology, but it's not entirely divorced from physics either. Here's another angle on information, algorithmic information theory. This branch of mathematics tries to quantify how much information is contained in a thing by measuring the length of the shortest computer program that could generate that thing. You, as a human being, are an incredibly complex pattern. The shortest program that could generate you would have to include not just your genetic code, which is already massive, but also all the environmental influences, all the experiences, all the random quantum events that shaped your development. The algorithmic information content of you is staggeringly high. You are, in a very real sense, one of the most information-rich objects in the observable universe. A human brain, with its complexity and its capacity for thought and memory and emotion, contains more functional information than most stars. If you were removed, this information would be lost. And the loss of information of that magnitude would represent a significant change in the information content of the universe. Would the universe notice? Again, we're back to that question of what notice means. A story of Christ. But, from an information theoretic perspective, your removal would be a major event, not because you're special, but because any complex, high information system being removed would be a major event. Now let's talk about something called the quantum Darwinism. It's a theory about how classical reality emerges from quantum reality, proposed by physicist Wojciech Zurek. The basic idea is that information about quantum systems gets copied into the environment through interactions. And these copies are what we observe as classical reality. The environment acts like a copying machine, creating redundant records of quantum states. You are constantly creating copies of information about yourself in the environment. Every photon that bounces off you carries information about your shape, your color, your position. Every sound you make carries information about your vocal cords. Every surface you touch carries information about your fingerprints. This information is scattered throughout the environment, creating a redundant, distributed record of your existence. If you were removed, this information trail would persist, decay, transform. The interesting thing about quantum Darwinism is that it suggests the universe is constantly creating records of events, distributing information redundantly throughout the environment. This is how objective reality emerges from the quantum realm. If you're part of this process, and you are, every moment you exist, then your removal would affect the information structure of objective reality. The specific pattern of information distribution that includes you would be different from one that doesn't. Here's where we get into really speculative territory. Some physicists and philosophers have proposed that consciousness itself is a fundamental aspect of the universe, not an emergent property of complex information processing. Integrated information theory, proposed by Giulio Tononi, suggests that consciousness is a measure of integrated information. Any system that integrates information has some degree of consciousness, from electrons very slightly to humans very much. If consciousness is integrated information, and if information is conserved, then maybe consciousness doesn't disappear when the physical substrate is destroyed. Maybe it transforms, maybe it disperses, maybe it continues in some form we don't understand. This is highly speculative. Most neuroscientists would reject this idea. But it's based on a serious attempt to mathematically define consciousness and understand its relationship to physical reality. If integrated information theory is correct, then your removal wouldn't just eliminate a complex information pattern. It would eliminate a particular locus of consciousness, a particular perspective on the universe, a particular way the cosmos knows itself. And maybe, just maybe, the universe would notice that. Not because it cares, but because the total amount of integrated information in the universe would decrease. The cosmos would be slightly less conscious of itself. This brings us to a profound question. Is the universe evolving toward greater complexity and consciousness? Is there a direction to cosmic evolution that favors the emergence of self-aware, information processing systems? Some scientists think so. They point to the fact that the universe has gone from a simple, uniform state after the Big Bang to the incredible complexity we see today. Galaxies, stars, planets, life, consciousness. There seems to be an arrow pointing toward increasing organization, increasing information content, increasing complexity. If that's true, then you are part of that arrow. You are a node in the network of increasing cosmic consciousness. And your removal would be, in a small way, a step backward, a decrease in the universe's capacity to know itself. But other scientists argue that this is just local entropy decrease in a universe that's globally increasing in entropy. Pockets of complexity emerge temporarily, but they're destined to decay. The arrow points ultimately toward heat death, toward maximum entropy, toward a uniform, featureless end state where no information processing is possible. If that's true, then your removal is just accelerating the inevitable. You're already doomed to entropy. Your information will eventually be scrambled beyond recovery. Whether it happens now or in 80 years or in 10 to the 100 years when the last black hole evaporates, the end result is the same. So which is it? Is your information precious, conserved, a meaningful part of the universe's evolution toward self-awareness? Or is it temporary, destined for decay, ultimately meaningless in the face of cosmic entropy? The answer might be both. You contain information. That information is temporarily organized. in a way that enables consciousness, that creates the subjective experience of being you. When you're removed, that organization will be lost. But the underlying information, according to the laws of physics as we understand them, must persist in some form. Whether that persistence counts as you continuing to exist is a question physics alone cannot answer. But the universe would change. The information structure of reality would be different. In that sense, yes, the universe would notice. Let's zoom out from information theory and think about where you actually are. Not in the sense of geography or even cosmology, but in terms of the fundamental structure of reality. You exist in space-time, but space-time is not empty. It's not a passive stage on which events unfold. It's an active, dynamic, seething cauldron of quantum activity. At the smallest scales, the Planck scale, about 10 to 35 meters, space-time itself is foamy, chaotic, uncertain. Virtual particles pop in and out of existence. The geometry of space fluctuates wildly. The clean, smooth space-time of general relativity breaks down into a churning quantum foam. You are floating on top of this foam. Or more accurately, you are a stable pattern that has emerged from this foam. You are a temporary island of organization in an ocean of quantum chaos. Every particle in your body is interacting constantly with the quantum vacuum. Electrons in your atoms are emitting and absorbing virtual photons. Quarks in your atomic nuclei are exchanging virtual gluons. You are not separate from the quantum foam. You are intimately, inseparably connected to it. If you were removed from reality, what would happen to these interactions? The virtual particles that are currently interacting with your particles would interact with different particles, or wouldn't be emitted at all. The specific pattern of quantum fluctuations in your vicinity would change. Now, quantum fluctuations are random. At least, they appear to be random, according to our current understanding. So, would the universe notice if one particular set of quantum fluctuations was replaced by a different set of quantum fluctuations? Probably not. Quantum fluctuations are happening everywhere, all the time, at scales far too small for any macroscopic effect. Your removal wouldn't significantly alter the statistical properties of the quantum vacuum. But here's where it gets interesting. What if quantum fluctuations aren't truly random? What if there's some underlying deterministic process that we don't understand yet? Some hidden variables that determine which fluctuations occur and when? If that's the case, then your presence, your specific interactions with the quantum vacuum, might be part of a larger deterministic pattern. Your removal would disrupt that pattern in a way that might cascade into larger scale effects. This is pure speculation. All evidence suggests quantum fluctuations are genuinely random, not determined by hidden variables. Einstein's hope that God does not play dice has been largely abandoned by modern physics. But the question remains, are you part of the quantum pattern of the universe, or are you floating above it, connected but not essential? Let's think about vacuum energy. The quantum vacuum is not actually empty, it has energy. Virtual particles constantly appear and disappear, and this creates a background energy density throughout all of space. This vacuum energy might be related to dark energy, the mysterious force that's accelerating the expansion of the universe. We don't fully understand it, but it's real, it's measurable, and it's affecting the fate of the cosmos. Your presence, your mass, your energy affects the vacuum around you. You create a local perturbation in the vacuum energy density. It's incredibly small. Your effect on the vacuum is negligible compared to the background vacuum energy, but it exists. If you were removed, that perturbation would disappear. The vacuum energy in your location would return to its baseline state. Would the universe notice? At a cosmic scale, almost certainly not. The perturbation you create is so small that it's lost in the quantum noise. But at a quantum scale, at the Planck scale, the change would be real and measurable if we had instruments capable of measuring it. Here's a thought that will keep you up at night. In quantum mechanics, particles don't have definite positions until they're measured. They exist in a superposition of all possible positions, described by a wave function that gives the probability of finding the particle at any given location. When you observe a particle, the wave function collapses, and the particle takes on a definite position. But before observation, the particle is literally everywhere at once, with varying probabilities. Now, think about yourself. You are made of particles. Each particle in your body has a wave function, but you don't experience yourself as a probabilistic cloud spread out across space. You experience yourself as a localized, definite thing. Why? Because you're constantly observing yourself. Your particles are constantly interacting with each other and with the environment, which collapses their wave functions, which gives you a definite location and shape. This is called quantum decoherence. It's the process by which quantum superpositions transform into classical definiteness through interaction with the environment. You are a stable pattern of decoherence. Your existence is defined by the constant collapse of quantum wave functions through environmental interaction. If you were removed, this pattern of decoherence would cease. The space you occupy would return to a superposition of quantum possibilities. The particles that were part of you would disperse into the quantum foam, their wave functions no longer collapsed into the definite pattern that is you. Would the universe notice? From a quantum perspective, the change would be significant. A stable decoherence pattern would be replaced by quantum uncertainty. The local structure of quantum reality would be different. But from a macroscopic perspective, from the view of classical physics and everyday reality, the change might be imperceptible. Another pattern of decoherence would form. Matter would fill the space. The quantum foam would stabilize into a different classical configuration. So here's the paradox. At the quantum level, you are intimately connected to the fundamental structure of reality. Your presence affects the quantum vacuum, creates patterns of decoherence, collapses wave functions. Your removal would represent a genuine change in the quantum state of the universe. But at the macroscopic level, you are almost irrelevant. Your mass is negligible. Your energy is negligible. Your gravitational field is negligible. Your removal would barely register as a blip in the classical dynamics of the cosmos. Which perspective is more true, the quantum or the classical, the microscopic or the macroscopic? Physics doesn't give us a clear answer. Both perspectives are valid. Both descriptions are accurate within their domains. But they seem to lead to opposite conclusions about your cosmic significance. Let's talk about something called the Casimir effect. It's a quantum phenomenon where two uncharged metal plates placed very close together in a vacuum will experience an attractive force. Why? Because the quantum vacuum between the plates contains fewer virtual particles than the vacuum outside the plates. The geometry constrains the types of quantum fluctuations that can occur. This creates a pressure differential, pushing the plates together. The Casimir effect is proof that the quantum vacuum is real, that virtual particles have real physical effects, and that the geometry of space affects quantum fluctuations. You, as a physical object with shape and extent, constrain the quantum fluctuations around you. The geometry of your body affects which virtual particles can exist in your vicinity. You create a Casimir-like effect on the quantum vacuum around you. If you were removed, the geometric constraints would disappear. The quantum vacuum in your location would change. Different virtual particles would be allowed. The pattern of quantum fluctuations would shift. This is a real physical effect. Not large, not macroscopically significant, but real nonetheless. The universe would change at the quantum level. Whether that constitutes noticing is a philosophical question as much as a physical one. Here's the final twist in this section. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that observation creates reality, that until something is observed, it doesn't exist in a definite state. The observer is not separate from the observed. Observation is an active process that brings reality into being. If this is true, and it's controversial, but some versions of quantum mechanics support it, then you, as an observer, are actively creating the reality around you. Every observation you make collapses a wave function, selects one outcome from many possibilities, creates the specific version of reality you experience. If you were removed, you would stop creating reality. The wave functions you would have collapsed would remain uncollapsed, or would be collapsed by other observers. The specific version of reality that would have existed if you were present would not exist. A different version would exist instead. Is that version of reality equally real? Or is the reality you create through observation somehow special, somehow necessary? We don't know. This gets into deep questions about the nature of consciousness, the role of observers in quantum mechanics, and whether there's something special about conscious observation versus mechanical measurement. But if conscious observation does play a special role in creating reality, then your removal would not just change the universe, it would change which universe exists, which version of reality manifests from the quantum possibilities.
And that would be about as significant a change as is possible to imagine. Let's approach this from a different angle entirely. Forget causality, forget information theory, forget quantum mechanics for a moment. Let's think about the universe as an accountant. Is there a cosmic ledger somewhere that tracks everything? Every particle, every interaction, every event. Some ultimate record that would show, if consulted, whether you exist or not? According to general relativity, space-time itself is a kind of record. Every event that occurs creates a permanent mark in the geometry of space-time. The past is not gone, it's still there, in the past light cone, as real and definite as the present. When you do something, anything, you create an event in space-time.
That event is permanent. It cannot be undone. Even after you die, even after the Earth is consumed by the Sun in its red giant phase, even after the galaxy collapses or disperses, that event will still exist in the space-time manifold. It will be in the past, yes. It will be causally disconnected from any future observers, but it will be real, part of the eternal structure of space-time. If this view is correct, then removing you from reality would require not just eliminating your present self, but editing the past, removing every event you've ever participated in from the space-time manifold, reshaping the geometry of the universe to exclude your existence. Is that even possible? According to our current understanding of physics, no. The past is fixed. Closed time-like curves, if they exist, might allow for time travel, but they create paradoxes and contradictions that suggest nature doesn't permit editing the past. So, in one sense, you cannot be removed from reality. You already exist. You have already created events in space-time. Those events are permanent, unchangeable, eternally part of the structure of the universe. Your present self could be eliminated. Yes, your future could be prevented. But your past, that's written in the geometry of space-time, and it's not going anywhere. The universe has noticed you. It has recorded your existence in the most fundamental way possible by allowing you to create events in space-time. And those events are part of the cosmic ledger forever. But let's push back on this idea. Let's consider block universe theory more carefully. In this view, time is just another dimension, like space. The past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. The flow of time is an illusion created by consciousness. If block universe is correct, then you don't exist just now. You exist across a world line, a four-dimensional path through space-time that represents your entire life, from birth to death. You are not a three-dimensional object moving through time. You are a four-dimensional object that extends through time. Removing you from reality would mean removing your entire world line. Every moment you've ever existed, every event you've participated in, every interaction you've had, all of it would need to be excised from the block universe. What would that leave? A gap? A discontinuity in the fabric of space-time? Or would space-time smooth over the gap, reshaping itself to maintain consistency? We have no way of knowing. We can't run the experiment. We can't actually remove someone from reality and see what happens to the structure of space-time. But mathematically, general relativity suggests that space-time is continuous and smooth, except at singularities. Removing a world line would create a discontinuity. Either that discontinuity would remain as a kind of scar in the fabric of reality, or space-time would have to deform in complex ways to maintain smoothness. Either way, the universe would be different. The cosmic ledger would be altered. In that sense, yes, the universe would notice. Now, let's think about this from the perspective of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy always increases in a closed system. The universe as a whole is a closed system, probably. So total entropy is always increasing. You are a low entropy system. Your body is highly organized. Your brain is incredibly complex. You maintain this low entropy state by consuming energy from food and radiating waste heat into the environment. When you die, your body's entropy increases dramatically. You decompose. The organized structure breaks down. The information encoded in your neural connections is destroyed. You return to a high entropy state. If you were removed from reality instead of dying naturally, what would happen to entropy? If you're just deleted, poof, gone, does the entropy you represented disappear with you? Or does it have to be accounted for somehow? According to thermodynamics, entropy cannot decrease in a closed system. If you're removed from the universe, taking your entropy with you, that would violate the second law. The universe's total entropy would decrease. Unless the act of removing you creates entropy elsewhere. Maybe the process of deletion, whatever that would mean physically, would generate enough entropy to compensate for the entropy lost. Or maybe removing you is simply impossible without violating thermodynamics. Maybe the universe's laws prevent any process that would decrease total entropy, which means you cannot be cleanly removed from reality. Your entropy is part of the cosmic ledger. The universe is tracking it, in a sense, through the inexorable increase of disorder. Removing you would throw off the books. Let's talk about conservation laws. In physics, certain quantities are conserved. They cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. Energy is conserved. The total energy in the universe is constant, probably. Dark energy complicates this. If you were removed, where would your mass energy go? E equals mc squared means your body contains a huge amount of energy. Removing you without putting that energy somewhere else would violate conservation of energy. Momentum is conserved. You have momentum right now, even if you're sitting still, because the Earth is moving, the solar system is moving, the galaxy is moving. If you were removed, your momentum would need to be transferred somewhere or compensated for somehow. Electric charge is conserved. You are electrically neutral overall, but you contain equal amounts of positive and negative charge. Removing you would remove that charge. It would have to reappear elsewhere. And so on for other conserved quantities. Baryon number, lepton number, angular momentum, etc. The point is, conservation laws are fundamental constraints on what can happen in the universe. They're not just human bookkeeping. They're built into the structure of physical law, arising from deep symmetries in nature via Noether's theorem. If removing you would violate conservation laws, then removing you is simply not allowed by physics. The universe would prevent it, not through conscious intervention, but through the mathematical structure of natural law. You are part of the universe's accounting system. Your existence is entangled with the conserved quantities that define physical reality. Removing you without proper accounting would create an inconsistency, a violation of the fundamental rules. In that sense, the universe must notice your removal. Not because it cares, but because the laws of physics require all the books to balance. But here's a counter-argument. What if your removal is balanced? What if the energy is transferred elsewhere? The momentum is compensated. The charge is redistributed. What if you're removed and simultaneously an equivalent amount of energy is added somewhere else in the universe? Then conservation laws would be satisfied. The books would balance. And the universe, caring only about the totals, not the specifics, might not notice anything amiss. You would be gone, but the universe's ledgers would still be correct. Energy conserved, check. Momentum conserved, check. Charge conserved, check. From the universe's perspective, what's the difference between you existing here and an equivalent amount of energy existing there? Both configurations satisfy the conservation laws. Both are allowed by physics. This is where we confront an uncomfortable possibility. Maybe you're fungible. Maybe from the universe's perspective, you're interchangeable with any other equivalent collection of energy and matter. Maybe what makes you you, your memories, your personality, your subjective experience, doesn't show up in the cosmic ledger at all. The ledger tracks energy, momentum, charge, entropy. It doesn't track meaning. It doesn't track identity. It doesn't track the qualia of consciousness. You could be swapped out for an equivalent mass of rock, and as far as the universe's accounting is concerned, nothing would change. Energy conserved. Momentum conserved. Entropy probably higher with the rock, which is fine because entropy is supposed to increase anyway. So does the universe notice you specifically, or does it only notice the quantities you contribute to the conserved totals? If it's the latter, then your individual existence is cosmically irrelevant. You're just a temporary arrangement of conserved quantities. When you're removed, those quantities rearrange into something else, and the universe continues on, indifferent. But if consciousness matters, if subjective experience is somehow fundamental to reality, if there's something special about awareness that doesn't reduce to physics, then maybe the cosmic ledger is incomplete. Maybe it's tracking quantities that matters to physicists, but missing the quantity that matters most, the fact that there is something it is like to be you. The fact that you experience reality from a particular perspective, that you have thoughts and feelings and awareness. If that inner experience is real, and how can you doubt it? It's the only thing you directly know. Then removing you would eliminate something unique and irreplaceable, something that isn't captured by energy or entropy or any other physical quantity. And maybe, just maybe, the universe would notice that loss, not in its ledgers, but in some deeper, more fundamental way we don't yet understand. Or maybe not. Maybe consciousness is just an emergent property of complex information processing, with no special status in the cosmic scheme. Maybe your subjective experience is like the roar of a waterfall, real to you, but not fundamental, not something the universe tracks or cares about. We don't know. This is where physics ends and metaphysics begins. But the question remains, would the universe notice if you were removed? And the answer, frustratingly, beautifully, terrifyingly, is it depends on what you think the universe is tracking and what you think matters. Now we need to talk about something that will twist your brain into knots, the anthropic principle. It's one of the strangest ideas in cosmology, and it might be the key to understanding whether your existence matters to the universe. Here's the basic idea. The universe has certain fundamental constants: the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron, the mass of the proton, the cosmological constant, and about 24 others. These constants determine how the universe behaves, how matter interacts, how structures form. And here's the spooky part. If any of these constants were even slightly different, life as we know it couldn't exist. Stars wouldn't form, or they'd burn out too quickly. Atoms wouldn't be stable, chemistry couldn't happen, the universe would be sterile, lifeless, devoid of observers. But the constants are what they are, and you exist. You're here to observe the universe, which means the universe must have the properties that allow observers to exist. This is the weak anthropic principle. We observe the universe to have properties compatible with observers, because if it didn't have those properties, we wouldn't be here to observe it. It's a selection effect. We exist in this universe because this universe is the kind that allows our existence. But there's a stronger version. The strong anthropic principle suggests that the universe must have properties that allow observers to emerge. That observation is somehow necessary to the universe, and therefore the universe must be configured in a way that produces observers. This gets into controversial territory quickly. Is the universe fine-tuned for life? Is there some cosmic purpose or design that requires conscious observers? Or is it just selection bias? We happen to find ourselves in a universe compatible with our existence because, by definition, we couldn't find ourselves in any other kind. The multiverse hypothesis offers one answer. Maybe there are infinite universes with different constants, and we just happen to be in one where the constants allow life. No fine-tuning required, just statistical inevitability across infinite trials. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that observers matter to the universe somehow. That consciousness is not an accident, but a feature, maybe even a necessary feature. If that's true, then your removal would reduce the total amount of observation in the universe. The universe would be slightly less observed, slightly less conscious of itself. Does that matter? Well, according to some interpretations of quantum mechanics, observation is what collapses wave functions and creates definite reality. Without observers, the universe might exist only as a vast quantum superposition, never crystallizing into the definite, classical reality we experience. If observers are necessary to create reality, then each observer is cosmically important. Removing one would weaken the universe's grasp on definiteness, allowing more quantum uncertainty to persist. This is highly speculative, bordering on metaphysical, but it's based on real puzzles in quantum mechanics about the role of observers and the measurement problem. Here's another angle: the participatory anthropic principle, proposed by physicist John Wheeler. Wheeler suggested that observers don't just observe the universe, they participate in bringing it into being. That the universe is, in some sense, created by the observations made within it. This sounds circular, and it is. But Wheeler took it seriously. He proposed that the universe begins in a quantum superposition of all possible states. As observers emerge and make observations, they collapse these superpositions, selecting which version of history becomes real. In this view, the past is not fixed until it's observed. Observations made now reach backward in time, determining what actually happened in the early universe. If the participatory anthropic principle is correct, then you, as an observer, are literally creating the universe through your observations. Your perceptions are not passive reception of pre-existing reality. They're active participation in the creation of reality. If you were removed, you would stop participating. The observations you would have made would not occur. The version of reality that would have crystallized from your observations would not exist. A different version would exist instead. This means Your removal would not just change the present and future, it would change the past. The history of the universe would be different, because the observations that selected that particular history would not have occurred. Is this crazy? Yes. Is it testable? Probably not. Does it violate everything we think we know about causality and time? Absolutely. But it's based on serious thinking about quantum mechanics by serious physicists. It might be wrong, but it's not obviously wrong. And if it's right, then you are far more cosmically significant than you ever imagined. Let's think about observer selection effects more carefully. In the multiverse hypothesis, there are infinite universes with different properties. Most are sterile. Some allow simple chemistry. A few allow life. Very few allow intelligent observers. You exist in one of the rare universes that allows intelligent observers. Your existence is evidence that you're in a universe with observer-compatible properties. But here's the twist. If you were removed, would the universe still be observer-compatible? Well, yes, obviously. Other observers would remain. But would it still be the same universe? In the multiverse, each universe is defined by its properties and its observers. Removing an observer changes the observer set, which might, in some interpretations, mean it's a different universe. This is where identity and indexicality get weird. You are not just observing this universe. You are defining your relationship to the multiverse by existing in this particular branch with this particular set of observers. If you were removed, the universe you were part of would be replaced by a nearly identical universe that differs only in lacking you. To other observers, this might be indistinguishable, but it would technically be a different branch of the multiverse. Does that count as the universe noticing your removal? Or is it just semantic games with multi-serval identity? Let's talk about the final anthropic consideration, the doomsday argument. It's a controversial, statistical argument that tries to predict how long humanity will survive based on your birth rank. The idea is this: you are a random human among all humans who will ever exist. Most humans are not in the first 1% of all humans ever born, and most are not in the last 1%. You're probably somewhere in the middle. If you're a typical human, and if you're in the middle of the human distribution, then the total number of humans ever born can't be vastly larger than the current cumulative total. This suggests humanity might go extinct relatively soon, rather than surviving for millions of years and producing trillions of future humans. The argument is controversial and has many counter-arguments, but bear with me, because it's relevant. If the doomsday argument is correct, then your birth rank, your position in the sequence of all humans, is cosmically significant. It's evidence about the total size of humanity, about our future, about whether we're near the beginning or near the end. If you were removed, your birth rank would be empty. The sequence of humans would have a gap, and the statistical arguments about humanity's future would be slightly different. This seems absurd. How could removing one person change statistical arguments about humanity's fate? But that's the nature of anthropic reasoning. Your existence as an observer provides evidence about the kind of universe you're in, and removing that observer removes that evidence. Here's the most profound anthropic consideration: simulation hypothesis. If we live in a simulation, then observers might be the entire point. We might be the reason the simulation is running. In this view, the universe, or rather, the simulation, exists to produce conscious experiences. The simulators are interested in what it's like to be conscious entities in a physical universe, and we're the experiment. If that's true, then removing an observer would remove one of the data points the simulation is designed to generate. The universe would notice in the most direct way possible. The simulators would notice a missing output from their experiment. Of course, simulation hypothesis is unprovable and may be meaningless, but it's a coherent possibility that takes anthropic reasoning to its logical conclusion. Consciousness is not a byproduct of the universe. Consciousness is the product. The universe exists to generate conscious experiences, and therefore each conscious observer is fundamentally important. If you were removed, the universe would lose one of its primary outputs. One stream of conscious experience would terminate. The purpose of the universe in this view would be fractionally unfulfilled. Let me be clear, I'm not advocating for simulation hypothesis or strong anthropic principle or participatory universe. I'm exploring the logical consequences of taking these ideas seriously. And the consequence is this: if observers matter, if consciousness is fundamental, if observation creates reality, if the universe requires witnesses, then your removal would be cosmically significant. The universe would not just change, it would be diminished. But if observers don't matter, if consciousness is emergent and epiphenomenal, if observation is just interaction with no special status, if the universe would exist and evolve just fine without any witnesses, then your removal is trivial. The universe wouldn't notice because it has no mechanism for noticing, no reason to care, no preference for any particular configuration of matter over any other. Which matter do is this: the future is divided in time. Now, what is a great thing in modern science? It caused no sun. Kind evidence. Philosophy hasn't answered it. Religion claims to answer it, but can't prove its answers. You have to decide for yourself what you believe, and your answer will determine whether you think your removal would matter to the universe or not. But here's what we can say with certainty. The anthropic considerations show that the question of cosmic significance is deeply connected to the role of consciousness in reality. If consciousness is special, you're special. If it's not, you're not. And that's a question that keeps physicists, philosophers, and anyone who thinks deeply about existence awake at night. Because we don't know, we might never know. We're conscious observers trying to figure out if being conscious observers matters, and we're potentially trapped in a circular loop where the answer depends on assumptions we can't verify. But we keep asking because we're human, because we want to know, because the question of whether we matter to the universe is really a question about whether we matter at all. And that might be the most human question there is. We've covered physics, quantum mechanics, information theory, causality, conservation laws, anthropologics. We've approached the question from every angle science offers, and we've found that the answer depends on which aspect of reality you think is fundamental, which interpretation of quantum mechanics you accept, which philosophical stance you take on consciousness. But now we need to talk about something science can't address: meaning. Because here's the thing: even if the universe would notice your removal in some measurable physical way, does that constitute mattering? And conversely, even if the universe wouldn't notice at all, does that mean you don't matter? These are not scientific questions. They're existential questions, and they require a different kind of thinking. Let's start with a brutal thought. From the perspective of cosmological scales, you don't matter at all. The observable universe contains approximately 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy contains, on average, around 100 billion stars. That's 10 squared 1,300 stars. 200 billion trillion stars. And around many of those stars are planets. And the universe is 13.8 billion years old and will continue for trillions of years more. You are a fleeting pattern of organized matter that will exist for maybe 80 years on a planet orbiting an ordinary star in an ordinary galaxy in a universe so vast that your entire life, your entire civilization, every human who has ever lived, is utterly, completely, absolutely insignificant. The heat death of the universe will occur in roughly 10,100 years. By that time, all stars will have burned out. All black holes will have evaporated. All matter will have decayed into the lowest energy state possible. The universe will be a uniform, cold, dark, featureless expanse where nothing happens and nothing can happen. At that point, will it have mattered that you existed? Will the universe, in its final heat-death state, be any different because you lived versus if you never lived? No, obviously not. The end point is the same, regardless. Maximum entropy. Heat death. The cessation of all complexity, all structure, all information processing, all consciousness. You are a temporary eddy in the flow of entropy. You're a local decrease in disorder that will inevitably be swamped by the global increase. You're fighting against the second law of thermodynamics, and you will lose. Everyone loses. Everything loses. Entropy always wins. From this cosmological perspective, the question of whether the universe would notice your removal is almost humorous. The universe doesn't notice anything. It doesn't care about anything. It's not conscious, or aware, or purposeful. It's just matter and energy, evolving according to mathematical laws, toward an inevitable end state of maximal disorder. Your removal would be like removing a single grain of sand from a beach. Like removing a single atom from a grain of sand from a beach. Less than that. Like removing a single quark from an atom from a grain of sand from a beach on a planet that will be destroyed when its star dies, in a galaxy that will eventually disperse, in a universe that will end in cold, dark nothingness. If that doesn't make you feel cosmically insignificant, nothing will. But here's the flip side. Here's the response to cosmic nihilism that you need to hear. Significance is not an objective property of the universe. It's something conscious beings create, and you are a conscious being. The universe doesn't assign meaning. It doesn't have preferences or values or purposes. It just is. It exists, it evolves, it follows laws, and eventually it dies. But you assign meaning. You have preferences and values and purposes. You create significance through your consciousness, through your ability to care about things, through your subjective experience of being alive. And from that perspective, you are the most significant thing in the universe. Not because the universe cares, but because you care. Not because you're cosmically important, but because you're the center of your own experience of reality. When you're removed, the universe might not notice, but the people who love you will notice. The projects you were working on will be affected. The thoughts you would have thought will remain unthought. The experiences you would have had will remain unexperienced. To you, this is everything. To the universe, it's nothing. Both perspectives are valid. Neither is more true than the other. This is the existential paradox of human existence. We are simultaneously cosmically insignificant and personally crucial. We matter enormously to ourselves and to each other, and we matter not at all to the universe. And you know what? That's okay. That's actually liberating. Because if the universe doesn't care what you do, then you're free to create your own meaning. You're not constrained by cosmic purpose or universal significance. You get to decide what matters to you. You get to choose what you value, what you pursue, what you dedicate your brief existence to. The universe's indifference is not a bug. It's a feature. It's what makes freedom possible. Let me tell you about something called the philosophy of absurdism. Albert Camus, the French philosopher, argued that the human condition is fundamentally absurd. We crave meaning and significance in a universe that offers none. We want our lives to matter in a cosmos that's indifferent to our existence. Camus said, there are three responses to this absurdity. First, suicide. If life is meaningless, why continue? Second, philosophical suicide. Embrace religion or ideology that provides external meaning, even if you can't prove it's true. Third, rebellion. Accept the absurdity. Acknowledge that life has no inherent meaning, and create meaning anyway. Live fully, passionately, authentically, knowing that it's ultimately pointless, but doing it anyway because you choose to. Camus advocated for rebellion, for living in full awareness of cosmic meaninglessness, but refusing to be paralyzed by it, for creating personal meaning in defiance of universal indifference. If you were removed from reality, the universe wouldn't notice, but you would notice. The absence of your future experiences, the termination of your consciousness, the end of your ability to create meaning, this would be the ultimate loss, not to the universe, but to you. And that's enough. That has to be enough, because it's all we have. Let's talk about something called the finite game versus the infinite game. This is a framework from philosopher James Carse. Finite games are played to win. They have definite rules, clear endpoints, winners and losers. Chess is a finite game. So is a business competition or a sports match. Infinite games are played to continue playing. The goal is not to win, but to keep the game going, to keep participating, to keep evolving. Life is an infinite game. Relationships are infinite games. The pursuit of knowledge is an infinite game. From the finite game perspective, death is losing. Being removed from reality is the ultimate loss, game over. But from the infinite game perspective, your life is not about winning, it's about playing. It's about participating in the ongoing game of existence as long as you can. And when you're removed, you stop playing, but the game continues. Other players remain, new players enter. Your removal doesn't end the infinite game. It just ends your participation in it. Does the game notice when a player leaves? Only in the sense that the dynamics change slightly. The specific interactions you would have contributed won't happen. Different interactions will happen instead. But the game itself, the ongoing flow of existence, continues unaffected. Is this depressing? Only if you are playing to win. If you understand that there is no winning, that the only point is to play as well as you can for as long as you can, then your eventual removal is just a natural end of your participation. You got to play. You got to experience. You got to contribute to the game while you were in it. And when you leave, others will continue. The game will go on. That's not tragedy. That's just how infinite games work. Here's another framework, the Buddhist concept of anatta, or non-self. Buddhism argues that the self is an illusion. There is no permanent, unchanging you. What we call the self is just a temporary collection of physical and mental processes, constantly changing, with no fixed essence. From this perspective, the question, would the universe notice if you were removed, is based on a false premise. There is no you to remove. There's just a process, a flow, a temporary pattern that we label as you for convenience. When that pattern dissolves, through death or through hypothetical removal from reality, nothing essential is lost because there was no essential self to begin with. Just one configuration of matter and energy transforming into another configuration. The universe wouldn't notice your removal because, in a deep sense, you never existed as a separate, independent entity in the first place. You were always just part of the universal process, temporarily organized in a way that creates the illusion of individual existence. Is this nihilistic, or is it liberating? If there's no permanent self, then there's no permanent self to worry about, no eternal soul that might be damned or saved, no cosmic scorecard tracking your significance, just the flow of existence of which you are temporarily a part. When you're removed, the flow continues, and that's okay, because you were never separate from the flow anyway. Now, let me offer a completely different perspective, the relational view of existence. This view holds that nothing exists in isolation. Everything that exists only in relation to other things. You don't exist as an independent entity. You exist as a node in a network of relationships. You are a son or daughter, a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, a citizen, a member of your species, a part of your ecosystem, a participant in the economy, a point in the causal web of history. Your existence is defined by these relationships. You are who you are because of how you relate to others. Your identity is not intrinsic, it's relational. From this perspective, removing you from reality would sever all these relationships. The network would have a missing node, the web would have a broken strand, and yes, the universe, understood as the totality of all relations, would notice. Not because you're cosmically important, but because relationships are what reality is made of. Removing any node changes the structure of the network, removes one set of possibilities, and creates others. Your relationships would have to reconfigure. The people who know you would relate to your absence instead of your presence. The causal chains you were part of would find new paths. The network would heal, but it would be changed. In this view, the universe notices not because you're special, but because everything is connected. Change one part, and the whole is affected, even if only slightly. Is this a satisfying answer? Maybe. It suggests your existence matters relationally, even if it doesn't matter cosmically. You affect the network you're part of, and through that network, you affect the wider world. When you're removed, those effects cease. New effects take their place. The network adjusts. Life goes on, but it's a different life, a different network, a different pattern of relationships. You left a mark, small, perhaps, temporary, certainly, but real. Here's my final offering in this section: the view from nowhere versus the view from somewhere. The view from nowhere is the objective, third-person, cosmic perspective. From this view, you don't matter. You're a temporary fluctuation in a vast, uncaring universe. Your removal would be cosmically insignificant. The view from somewhere is the subjective, first-person, experiential perspective. From this view, you are everything. You are the center of your experienced reality. Your consciousness is the lens through which the universe becomes known. Your removal would be the end of your world. Both views are valid. Both are true. The universe can be accurately described from either perspective. The mistake is thinking one view is more real than the other, that the objective view trumps the subjective, or vice versa. You are simultaneously a speck of cosmic dust and the center of experienced reality. You simultaneously don't matter at all and matter completely. Your removal would simultaneously be cosmically insignificant and personally catastrophic. This is not a contradiction, it's a complementarity. Two perspectives on the same reality, both accurate, both necessary for a complete understanding. The universe, from the view from nowhere, wouldn't notice your removal. But from the view from somewhere, your removal would be the end of everything. And both things are true at the same time. Forever. Welcome to the human condition. Quote 5:5. We exist at the intersection of cosmic meaninglessness and personal significance. We live in the space between the view from nowhere and the view from somewhere. And navigating that space, creating meaning in a meaningless universe, living fully in the face of cosmic indifference. That's the challenge and the privilege of consciousness. Would the universe notice if you were removed? Only if you count the small, local, temporary changes in causal structure, information distribution, and relational networks. Would it matter if you were removed? Only to you and to those whose lives intersect with yours. Is that enough? That's for you to decide. But it's all we have. And maybe, just maybe, it's all we need. We've traveled through quantum mechanics and thermodynamics, through information theory and cosmology, through anthropic principles and existential philosophy. We've examined the question from every possible angle. Would the universe notice if you were removed from reality? And after all that, what's the answer? The universe would change, minutely, measurably, if we had sufficiently sensitive instruments. Local perturbations in space-time curvature, in quantum field states, in causal structures. Conservation laws would require accounting for the energy and momentum and charge you represented. Information theory suggests your removal would represent a loss of pattern, of complexity, of a unique arrangement of matter that took billions of years to assemble. From a purely physical standpoint, yes, the universe would be different. In that narrow sense, the universe would notice. But would it care? Would it mourn? Would it register your absence as a loss? Of course not. The universe doesn't care. It can't care. It's not conscious. It's not aware.
It's just the totality of everything that exists, evolving according to mathematical laws, indifferent to the specific configurations of matter and energy that comprise it. Your removal would be like rearranging furniture in a room. The room is different, yes. The spatial configuration has changed, but the room doesn't care. It's just a room. It doesn't have preferences about furniture arrangement. The universe is just a universe. It doesn't have preferences about matter arrangement, including the specific arrangement of matter that is you. So in the deepest sense, the answer is no. The universe would not notice your removal in any way that matters, because noticing requires awareness, and the universe has none. But here's what we've learned on this journey. The question was never really about the universe. It was about you. About your significance, your meaning, your place in the cosmic order. And the uncomfortable truth is, you don't have a place in the cosmic order. There is no cosmic order, no grand design, no ultimate purpose that requires your existence.
You are an accident, a beautiful, improbable, temporary accident, a pattern that emerged from chaos and will return to chaos, a brief spike of organization in the universe's long slide toward maximum entropy. From a cosmic perspective, you are nothing, less than nothing, a rounding error in the universe's accounts. And you know what? That's the best news you'll ever hear. Because if the universe doesn't need you, doesn't care about you, doesn't have plans for you, then you are free. Free to create your own meaning, free to choose your own purposes, free to live according to your own values rather than cosmic mandates. The universe's indifference is your liberation. You get to decide what matters. Not because the universe has delegated that authority to you, but because there's no one else to decide. There's just you, conscious and aware, able to assign value and meaning and significance. And that power, the power to create meaning in a meaningless universe, that's what makes consciousness the most extraordinary phenomenon in all of reality. The universe is vast and old and will endure long after you're gone. But it will never, in all its billions of years, in all its trillions of galaxies, experience what it's like to be you, to have your specific thoughts, your specific feelings, your specific perspective on reality. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself, experiencing itself, knowing itself. And that experience is unique. When you're removed, that specific perspective, that specific way of experiencing reality, will be lost forever. The universe won't notice, but the universe will be poor for it, in a way it can never know. So what should you do with this knowledge? How should you live? knowing that your existence is cosmically irrelevant, but experientially everything. Live fully. That's the only answer. Create meaning. Form relationships. Pursue knowledge. Experience beauty. Help others. Build things. Destroy things if they need destroying. Love. Suffer. Grow. Change. Not because the universe cares, but because you care. Because you have this brief window of consciousness, this narrow slice of time where you get to be aware and alive and able to shape your own experience. When you're removed, and you will be, eventually, through death, if not through some hypothetical cosmic deletion, you will stop hearing. You will stop experiencing. You will return to the state of non-existence you were in for the 13.8 billion years before you were born. And that will be fine. You won't know. You won't miss it. Non-existence isn't suffering. It's nothing. Literally nothing. But right now, you exist. Right now, you are conscious. Right now, you have the capacity to experience reality, to think thoughts, to feel feelings, to make choices. That capacity is the most precious thing in the universe. Not because the universe values it, but because you can value it. Because you can recognize its preciousness and choose to honor it by living well. So yes, the universe wouldn't notice if you are removed, but you would notice, your friends would notice, your family would notice the specific configurations of matter and mind that you interact with. And in a universe that doesn't care about anything, the fact that some parts of it care about other parts is miraculous. The fact that consciousness emerged, that evolution produced beings capable of asking these questions, that matter organized itself in such a way that it can know itself and care about itself. This is the closest thing to magic that exists. You are that magic. You are matter that knows it's matter, stardust that knows it's stardust, the universe examining itself through the lens of consciousness. When you're removed, one of those lenses will go dark. The universe will lose one way of knowing itself. And while the universe won't notice or care, you can notice, you can care. You can recognize the loss that will occur when your consciousness ceases. The process is the last. The press, and you can choose right now to make that consciousness count. Not in cosmic terms, but in human terms. Not for the universe, but for yourself and for those you love. The question, would the universe notice if you were removed, is really asking, do I matter? And the answer is, not to the universe, but to you, to the people who love you, to the small corner of reality that your consciousness illuminates. And that's enough. It has to be enough, because it's all we have. So live, ask questions, seek answers, create meaning, experience reality as fully as you can. Not because it matters cosmically, but because it matters to you. And when the time comes, when you're removed from reality through death or entropy or the heat death of the universe, you'll have done what conscious beings can do. You'll have experienced existence. You'll have been aware. You'll have asked the impossible questions and lived despite not having all the answers. The universe won't notice your absence, but you were here. You existed. You mattered, at least to yourself. And in a universe that doesn't care about anything, choosing to care anyway is the most defiant, beautiful, human thing you can do. Thank you for taking this journey with me. If these questions resonate with you, if you find yourself drawn to the boundary between physics and philosophy, between what we can measure and what we can only wonder about, subscribe to Space House. We're building a community of people who aren't afraid to confront cosmic insignificance and personal meaning simultaneously. People who can hold both truths at once, that we don't matter to the universe and that we matter to ourselves. The universe is vast and indifferent, but you are conscious and aware. Make that awareness count. Would the universe notice if you were removed? No. But you're still here. You still exist. You still get to decide what that existence means. Make it mean something, for yourself, for those you love, for the brief, beautiful moment of consciousness you've been given. The universe won't remember you, but you can live fully anyway. And that defiance, that choice to create meaning in the face of cosmic meaninglessness, that's the most human thing there is. Stay curious, stay questioning. And remember, you might not matter to the universe, but the universe doesn't matter to itself either. Only you can give it meaning. Only consciousness can transform empty physics into experienced reality.